guys, today we have another schematic walkthrough, and this one's going to be on a 2005 Ford Expedition. Basically 03 to 06 were exactly the same, and the adjustable pedals are not working on it. So the important note about this walkthrough is this particular truck does not have memory seats on it. When you get into the memory, it gets a little more complicated, whereas this is a very general basic circuit. You see it all fits all on one page here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top and go to the bottom like I always do. But I'll throw a few notes out there real quick so we can get to the meat of this real quick here for those out there looking for a quick diagnosis. If I went through this and I was diagnosing it myself, before I start pulling switches out of the dash or the seat or wherever it's at on this particular vehicle, I would go and check the fuse, okay, and make sure that's okay. And then I would go over to the adjustable pedal switch. You can see it here. Okay, this whole thing's the adjustable pedal switch. I would check for this light emitting diode to see if it's working or not. Turn the lights on, the headlights on, and the switch should light up. Yeah, that's only testing the cluster panel illumination circuit, but it's also testing our ground, our shared ground, which is used for the rest of the circuits in this switch. So I would check for the lighting, I would check that fuse, and then I would go straight down to the motor itself. It's on top of the adjustable pedals down there. It's one motor that controls both pedals, brake and accelerator. 2-pin connector, simply a motor. It goes one direction, it reverses polarity, and it goes the other direction. So what I do, I would go down there, put a load on this circuit. Doesn't matter which side. One side goes here, one side goes here, and then I go back up to my adjustable pedal switch and go forward and reverse on there and see if my load lights up or the motor that I plug into here for a load actually starts spinning. That'll tell you a lot about the whole circuit integrity real quick. Now, if you want to walk through this in detail, you can follow along from here on out. Let's say none of those options brought you any kind of conclusion. Okay, so we're going to start with the fuse. This is on the interior fuse panel. 109 is the fuse number, and it's a 30 amp. Make sure it's not blown. As you can see, it splices off right here to a bunch of other circuits, so it's probably going to affect a lot of different things in the vehicle, and they don't fail too often as far as just the fuse going out on there. You're going to have a problem more than likely down here at the motor itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the adjustable pedal switch next. We're going to take it out and we're going to disconnect the connector in the backside, and we're going to start testing all these inputs and outputs on here. So next thing, pin 2 on there, dark green. We're going to check and make sure it has 12 volts coming into it. And over here, we can start checking grounds. We can use this for the power side once we've verified that's okay. And we can go over to here, pin 4, pin 3, and pin 6 on that same connector. You can see all colors right here, black, black, and black, because it's all the ground. And make sure that we are able to, run a motor or turn on a load with these circuits also. What that does, it tests the integrity of the circuit for load carrying capability and amperage. Between this one, inputs, this is all our inputs that go into the switch to make our ultimate load work. So if we can test them at the switch, we know everything coming into the switch is great. Then we can go to the more complicated part, which is testing the outputs of here. Now, plugging the connector back into the adjustable pedal switch, we're going to go down to the motor itself. Like I said, it's a gray connector. Usually it pops right off of there, and it has 2 pins on there. You cannot mix the polarity. Just plug it into there, your load or your multimeter, and then simply push forward or reverse on the adjustable pedal switch, and you'll see if you're getting everything that's coming into here down and out to the final destination, which is the load in the circuit here. Now, if you're connected down here with your load or your multimeter and you're still not getting any kind of voltage down here, or you're not getting your voltage and your ground down here, what we need to do is go up here to the switch itself and start testing the outputs of the switch. Now, you can back probe 1 and 7 and do the same exact test we did down here, or you can splice into the wire by pulling back the sheathing a little bit on there. It's up to you, but you're going to need to have the connector connected to the adjustable pedal switch. Now if you have power up here coming out, and you flick it the other way and it reverses polarity so you can go forward and backwards, but you're not getting it down here, then you simply know that you have a wiring problem. One of these two is not coming through. At that point, we can do an ohms test, so we can go to pin 1 to pin 1 and make sure the circuit has integrity as far as voltage carrying capability. And we can go to pin 7 to pin 2, both connectors disconnected from their devices, and again, ohm it out and make sure that it actually has a connection to it. Now between all these checks on here, that's a very simple circuit like I said, but just pulling this connector off of here and doing a few simple input tests on here, you can really diagnose this very, very fast on here. There's a few inputs and just a single output here to one load, and that's all there is to this circuit. So it's very simple. Now all the ones I've ever had to diagnose or change out a component on has been, unfortunately, the motor itself. The motor and the cables and all that down there, all part of one unit, so it's kind of expensive, but this is the part that actually failed down in there. The switches never have problems, never seen no circuit problems, and depending on how bad this is down here, the fuse almost never blows on them either. So a few diagnostic tips and a walkthrough. With all that tested, you should be able to find where's the point of the fault on here. So I hope this helps.